All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It's another year and it's another bad start for the New York football Giants. The only highlight for the Giants today came at the beginning of the game as this marks the 100th year for one of the NFL's oldest franchises. And of course, they had plenty of their legends over the years on hand. Now, in looking at this game, I mean, there's a lot of negatives that you could take away if you are a Giants fan, but I'll tell you like this. Daniel Jones continues to be Daniel Jones. He was 22 of 42 passing for day today for a buck 86, no touchdown passes, and two picks. And of course, that pick six that all but sealed the Giants' loss. Now, I know that there are going to be some Daniel Jones supporters out there, and I know that there are going to be some people who still believe in Daniel Jones. But at the end of the day, Daniel Jones is in his sixth season as an NFL quarterback. And at the end of the day, you are what you are. I've been saying this for the longest time, and I'm going to continue to stick by it. Daniel Jones is not a starting quarterback in the National Football League. First and foremost, he was done a disservice by being taken in the first round back in 2018 by former Giants general manager Dave Gettleman. And the fact that Dave Gettleman took Daniel Jones in the first round, took Daniel Jones in the top 10 is a big reason why Dave Gettleman is no longer the Giants general manager. We saw Joe Shane and Brian Daboll come in a couple of years ago. And of course, Daniel Jones had his best season in what was a walk year. And of course, that was also uh, Brian Daboll's first year with the Giants, Joe Shane's first year with the Giants, and he had his best year. After that, we saw the Giants pay Daniel Jones, and of course, we all said it then. We continue to say it now. They paid the wrong guy as it came down to him and Saquon Barkley, and they decided to take care of Daniel Jones. And now you see what Saquon Barkley is doing as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. But you look at it, and today was a bad look at MetLife Stadium. I mean, we saw fans exiting in the third quarter of the season opener. The season opener is usually when fans have the most optimism, but Giant fans have already thrown in the towel on what could be another long fall and winter in the New York, New Jersey area. And of course, somebody else who definitely was not thrilled about things today had to be Giants co-owner John Mara, especially after the fast start that we've seen Saquon Barkley have with the Philadelphia Eagles. You look at Daniel Jones today, 5 sacks, okay? And don't get me wrong, before we continue to talk about DJ, it's one of those, is the offensive line that Daniel Jones is playing behind the best? No. But like I've said before, Daniel Jones does not look the part of a starting NFL quarterback. He's a guy, I'm not going to say that he has happy feet back there in the pocket, but he just doesn't look confident. He doesn't look comfortable. And too often, we continue to see Daniel Jones make rookie mistakes, missing wide open wide receivers, not being able to check off, not being able to go out there and take care of the offense and get things done. For me, I think one of the turning points for this game for the Giants today was the fact that when their defense forced that turnover by the Vikings early on, put the Giants in scoring position, and they had to settle for a chip shot Graham Gano field goal. From that point on, it was all Minnesota Vikings as they simply dominated each aspect of the game: offense, defense, special teams, and even coaching. Because at the end of the day, Kevin O'Connell clearly outcoached Brian Daboll today. I mean, you look at the fact that you had another first round quarterback who it didn't work out for him in the New York area, and I'm talking about Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold looked the part of a first round pick today as he was 19 to 24 passing for 208 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 interception as he helped the Vikings get the 28-6 win. And on top of that, he received a game ball from his new team. But at the end of the day, you look at this Giants team, and I've said this coming into the season, I'm going to stick by it. They're not good enough to win shootouts. And when I say that, you're not going to rely on this Giants team, this Giants offense rather, to go out there and put up 20 plus points each game. I've said it before and I will continue to stand by it. This team's got to win ugly. And in winning ugly, basically their defense has to go out there and play lights out football. They have to protect the football offensively, which is something they didn't do today. And they have to make the most out of their opportunities, which is something else that they did not do today. So, of course, the folks in the New York media, they're going to have a field day with this one, come Monday morning. And of course, they're going to start pointing the fingers at general manager Joe Shane. They're also going to be pointing the fingers at head coach Brian Daboll. Why? Because Brian Daboll took up play calling this year for the Giants. And you know what? The buck stops with him. So I'll tell you like this. I said coming into this season, unless it was something catastrophic, I think Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are safe with their jobs. But if they truly want to be safe with their jobs, and if today was a preview of what the next 3 or 4 months are going to look like for the Giants, then guess what? They've got to try something new. And in order for them to try something new, I don't see Daniel Jones finishing this season as a Giant starting quarterback. It's one of those where you can make a strong case to say, hey, the Giants probably have the worst quarterback room in the National Football League. Drew Lock does not, you know, move the bar, so to speak, as far as of excitement. And we've seen what Tommy DeVito can and cannot do. And again, if Shane and Dayball were sold on Daniel Jones, guess what? They were really trying to move up to the third spot to get Drake May this past spring in the NFL draft, as he was their guy. So it's one of those for the Giants. Clearly, you got to try to find a way to put this loss behind you. And of course, if you're the Giants, it was a tough one. It was an embarrassment. It was embarrassing. The fans booed. And you know what? They had every right to boo because the Giants did not give them anything to kind of, build off of. So it's on to Washington next Sunday. If you're Daniel Jones, you've played your best ball over the years against Washington. Make no mistake about it, the loser of that contest is going to be in the basement of the NFC East. Maybe if you're the Giants, maybe it's a way to get on the road and kind of get away from this, but it's going to be Washington's season opener. They're breaking in a new starting quarterback and rookie Jaden Daniels. They have a new head coach and Dan Quinn as well, new ownership group, the whole shebang, and they want to get off to a good start as well. The kid, what's going on? Long time no see. Good to hear from you. You're saying I gave up on this team from last year in the beginning of the season when they lost to the Cowboys 40 to love. I just want a new quarterback already. Daniel Jones has got to go. Listen, I really thought that the Giants were going to take a quarterback in the first round in this past spring's draft, and they didn't because their guy was Drake May. They still had JJ McCarthy there at number 6. I thought he was ideal for them, in my opinion. Clearly, they passed on him, and of course, we've seen JJ go ahead and get hurt in the preseason for the Vikings, and his year is done. You had Bo Nix there. Bo Nix. To me, I would have rather have seen them go try a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix because we know what Daniel Jones is and we know what Daniel Jones is not. And like I've said before, Daniel Jones is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's an athlete, yeah. And you look at his size. He's 6'5", about 235, 240. Why don't you put 15 pounds on him at some point, move him to tight end? The Giants clearly aren't going to do that because you're not going to pay a guy $40 million a year to be a tight end. But nonetheless, they can't keep rolling this out there every single week and think that they're going to win. Knicks 100 a GM. You're saying you don't boo in the first game. This is how the media can confuse people. Entire preseason, they set this up in people's minds. True fans don't behave this way. I'll tell you like this. I think for the New York Giants fans, they've been frustrated for a long time. I mean, this is a franchise. It was 2011 when they won their last Super Bowl championship. Since then, they've had two trips to the postseason. They've won one postseason game, and on top of that, they've only had three winning seasons. So when it's all said and done, that's a lot of losing that the folks that follow the Giants have had to endure for some time. And I think they're very frustrated, okay, because you look at this and it's one of those with Daniel Jones, at least, it's the same old song. And I'll tell you like this: you can roll manure and powdered sugar and put cinnamon all you want. It's still a pile of manure. And I say this because we know what Daniel Jones is, and I think that Giant fans, I just truly think that they are frustrated. I mean, you go back to last year; it did not start well. They lost 40-0 at home to Dallas, and then another stinker at home. And for Giants fans, there were a lot of Giants fans out there that said, "Hey, this was a winnable game," because they're looking at the fact that the Vikings are coming into town. Yeah, you have Justin Jefferson, a wide receiver, but you've got Sam Darnold. And of course, Sam Darnold didn't light it up with the Jets. Sam Darnold walked into a very bad situation with the Jets, first and foremost. Started to show some signs of life in Carolina, was a backup to Brock Purdy in San Francisco, but he's been a journeyman. And on the flip side, this is probably going to be Sam Darnold's last opportunity to showcase what he can do in the in the National Football League. So if you're a Giants fan, I do understand the frustration by that, and I think for some of them, they've probably seen as much of Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback as they want to. You're asking, let me ask you a real question: do you think this is a real offensive line? No. I'll tell you like this: the Giants have had issues on the offensive line. You can probably say for about 10 years now. And my problem is this: have the Giants used a lot of draft early draft picks on offensive linemen over the last several years? Absolutely. Have most of them worked out? Absolutely not. We've also seen some of these Giants offensive linemen go someplace else and be able to salvage their NFL careers. My thing is this: it comes down to who's coaching them up. All right. And the thing is like if you're taking guys in the first and second round consistently, clearly they're highly touted prospects. Clearly there are other teams uh that have them on their radar. So, like I said before, I'm not gonna sit up here and give this offensive line a pass for what they've done, but I sure as hell ain't going to give the quarterback a pass for what he's done or what he has not done either. I mean, you're talking about a guy, he's 22, now 22, 37-1 as a starter, 30 sacks in just 6 games last year. So, again, all of that is not Daniel Jones. Part of it is Daniel Jones, part of it is the offensive line. But you're talking about a guy now in 5 seasons, sacked 179. Now you can add five more to that equation as far as his NFL career, and that number is only going to increase. Um, you're saying you get sacked 6 times a game, and show me how well you perform. Listen, I'm going to touch on that one in a minute. They really didn't they really didn't took the two tackles in the first round. One worked out, one didn't. Yeah, listen, you're talking about Andrew Thomas and of course Evan Neal, but they've also, tried in recent years, previous to Shane and Dayball, to go out there and fix the offensive line. I mean, Eric Flowers, that dates back, I want to say, to the Jerry Reese time as the Giants general manager. Then it was Will Hernandez. I think Will Hernandez was a second round pick the year that they took Saquon Barkley in the first round. You had Justin Pugh. I think Justin Pugh went back to the Jerry Reese era as well. So they've put some stock in the offensive line, and it just hasn't worked out. Um, it's one of those where at the end of the day, like I said, it's part Daniel Jones and it's part the offensive line. It's part the organization as well. But I'm not going to sit up here and give DJ a pass as well. It's one of those for me. I look at next week and I want to see how this team, how the quarterback, how everybody, rebounds from this because I feel like, if you're the Giants as a whole, you can't play any worse than you did today. And you look at it historically, Daniel Jones has probably had some of his best games of his NFL career against the Washington Commanders. I think what the Giants have to get back to doing is, like I said, what they've needed to do all season long, and that's going to be they got to play a physical brand of football. They have to play mistake-free football on both sides. They had 9 penalties today for more than 100 yards, dropped passes, missed assignments. All of that stuff adds up, and at the end of the day, when you store all of that into a pot, you're 28. You lose 28-6, and that's exactly what they did. I know some people might want to go out there and question the uniforms. Listen, it's the 100-year anniversary of the squad. Uniforms are uniforms, and it's a merchandising thing. I totally get it, but if the giant and getting back to what you were saying before, Knicks 100 about the booing. I think aside from the losing, I think the Giant fans they're also just frustrated with the slow starts to this team because since even including their Super Bowl year, the last Super Bowl championship year of 2011. I think since then, the Giants have only won their season opener since then twice, including 2011, their last championship year. I think they won their first game of the season in 2016. They went on the road and beat Dallas, and they made the playoffs that year. And then 2022, which was Joe Brian Daboll's first year as the Giants head coach. They went on the road and beat the Titans. So I think the Giant fans. I think they're just frustrated with the slow starts, but nonetheless, uh, to me, I think it can't get any worse than it did today. It's one of those where if it continues like this, there's going to be some wholesale changes made. And I think those wholesale changes will come sooner rather than later because if it keeps up like this, the jobs of Shane and Dayball will definitely be in jeopardy. Like I said a couple of days ago, I think that they were okay, barring something catastrophic. But if it ends up continuing the way that we saw it today, that catastrophic thing could be coming sooner rather than later. But nonetheless, not the start that the Giants wanted. They just didn't look good. Quarterback, you name it, it just was not pretty. So, like I said, they've got 7 days to get back on track, and let's see what they do against Washington. It's going to be very interesting to see what it looks like when they go to Washington because again, you have two teams that have really it's kind of the same way that we've seen the Cowboys and the Eagles fight for that top spot in the NFC East for like the last 4 or 5 years or so. We've consistently seen the Giants and the Commanders battle to try to stay out of the basement in the division. And guess what? Whomever loses that game next Sunday, they're going to be in the basement and they're going to be, fighting an uphill battle again this year. Even though I really, coming into the season, I did not expect the Giants or Commanders to, contend for a postseason berth. But nonetheless, you clearly, even with that, you still don't want to go out there and start 0-2. So I really do think that we're going to see a more spirited effort from the Giants come next Sunday afternoon. I'm sure, granted, there were a lot of boo birds at MetLife Stadium today, but the Giant fans will travel to support their team, especially within the NFC East. And I guarantee you, there's going to be some fans for the New York and New Jersey area, either driving down or catching the Amtrak to go down there to the DC area to see that game. But nonetheless, it was a stinker today at MetLife. There's no other way around it. And like I said, let's see if the Giants will rebound. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. Knicks 100, first and foremost, your first time I'm seeing you on this podcast. Thank you so much for your commentary. Very much appreciated. And segueing into another sports topic, Knicks 100 a GM. I can't let you leave here without talking about your Knicks very briefly. And I'll say this: the expectations are definitely high for the Knickerbockers going into next season, and I hope to see you back on here and see your words on here as we'll be discussing the NBA season very soon. The kid, as always, it's a pleasure. I see your Yankee logo in the background. I know when you're not focusing on football, I would imagine that you are focusing on this battle for the top spot in the American League East, currently between the Yankees and Baltimore Orioles. Just switching gears real quick to baseball. I've been saying the Yankees for the last couple of months, they're going to be a playoff team. It's just a matter of whether they're a wild card participant or a division winner. We just got to wait and see. But nonetheless, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.